This C10 was my first vehicle. Back in high school, I had big plans of restoring it, but absolutely no idea where to start. I had no money, and I hadn't been alive long enough to develop any real mechanical knowledge. But fast forward to today, about 16 years later, I'm here to dive back into this relic of my past to see just how many mistakes teenager me made trying to fix it up. This truck really brings back a lot of memories for me, as I'm sure your first vehicle does for you too. Let me know in the comments what you had. This one's a 1972 Chevy C10 short wide. It has a little bit of damage here on the bed. Back in high school, I was trying to learn how to do body work, and I ended up just filling these with Bondo. You can see a little bit here, but it's really not too bad. About 6-7 years ago, I started to sand all this off, got rid of all the Bondo, and primered it. Seems like the primer held up pretty good. Just a little bit of surface rust is coming through now. Won't be a big deal to knock it off. Door doesn't line up that great, but overall the cab doesn't look too bad on this side. Paint's obviously coming off. There's a little bit of a rust bubble here, nothing crazy. This door is off of a 68, I believe. And I think the windshield is leaking. I remember I was getting some water down in here. This truck has basically just been in storage for the last 15 years. Stored outside anyway. Oh, I forgot about this. Bought this probably in 2009. It's a good seat cover. Over here, the seat is completely worn through. But I used a towel when I was young. Worked out good for a seat cover. Took this door panel off because the door latch was messed up. That was probably 10 years ago. Carpet's all faded. You really see how long it's been sitting from sun damage. The sun doesn't really get down in there very often, so gives you an idea. It's pretty dry though. Old hat. Registration 2009. Got a few old gauges in here. Marker lights. Guitar pick. Tape measure and screwdriver. Oh, forgot about these. Never installed them, but I have them for when I need them. I believe the steering wheel is out of a 1968 also. Got the gauges. Factory radio. Little tiny cut right there. Interior's in pretty good shape. I remember I wanted to fix up the interior. One of the first things anyway. Yeah, windshield's definitely leaking. And some rust down at the bottom of the door. And of course somebody had to cut holes in the doors to put speakers in. That wasn't me. A little rust in the rocker. And some water here. Let's check out under the seat. Oh, my old 1/4-inch drive tool set. Forgot about that. My uncle gave this to me. I haven't seen this in probably 10 years. It's at least complete. Just a Napa one. Cheap Napa one. Little air nozzle. This is the gasket that goes in between the hood and the cowling. Oh. Old Hershey's chocolate wrapper. I used to love Hershey's. I guess I still do love Hershey's. Got the door carpet. screwdriver, crescent wrench. What the heck? Oh, little pyramid that I made for a high school science project. Don't really remember what it was about, but one of my first times welding. Still not a great welder. I can't reach. Bouncy ball. What's this? Oh, old gas receipt. I must have paid whatever I had in my pocket. $2.76. I was broke. The driver's side is basically the same story. A few dents here and there, nothing too bad. A little more surface rust because the primer didn't hold up as good. Bed's wavy, but nothing we can't fix. A little dent here. Tailgate's bowed. But got a dent here. Looks like something went in and stopped there. Got a crease with a bow. Looks like a little bondo on the cab on this side. More body work definitely needs to be done on this side. Put this fuel cap on here about 3 years ago because it looked like the other one was letting water in. I drained the tank probably 4 or 5 years ago. Shouldn't be anything in it. This fender I painted, well, we painted the whole front clip probably in 2009. My dad helped me out with that. A few little runs, but I mean, it is what it is for a garage paint job when you don't really know what you're doing. This whole front clip came off of an old brown GMC. I think it was a 68. The grill, my dad loved the GMC grills. Had the old Bondo come off there. I'll show you under the hood next. My dad bought this truck in the 90s. He pulled it out of the field like everybody else does. And he pulled the old inline 6 out and put this small block 400 in. I'll show you. He rebuilt the motor, pumped it up to somewhere around 350 to 400 horse, put the dress-up kit from Metalbrock on it, and it's a punchy motor. Looks like I got a little bit of rust on the firewall to deal with. I remember messing with this wire. Seems like I was having alternator issues a while ago. Yeah, I put the alternator in 2017. So yeah, it's been a little bit. I was having fuel pump issues with it probably 4 or 5 years ago. I wasn't able to start it for a little bit. You can see that I just have this fuel hose here so I could run it from a separate fuel tank. Has headers and NGK spark plugs. I used to like NGKs. I don't have any issue with them now. Old Delco Remy distributor. Transmission was starting to slip, and I believe that's actually why I parked it a long time ago. I ended up buying a K5 Blazer and used that for my daily driver for a while. Has old Edelbrock Carter AFB style carburetor. Now I'm pretty certain that this truck will fire right up after getting gas and a battery, of course. Looks like the oil is a little overfilled. Don't smell too bad, maybe a hint of gas in it. But I'm definitely going to change the oil before doing anything else. Transmission, I guarantee, is low because it leaked when I was driving it. Yeah, it's barely registering even when it's not running. I have everybody's favorite transmission rebuild kit here. Dump it in and solves all your problems, right? Mix it up with a little bit of the Walmart special. Help it flow in there a little faster. So far, I'm not seeing anything major that I messed up as a teenager yet, but we're barely diving in. Oh, fuel pump gasket. As typical in Oregon, as you start making any progress on anything, it starts raining. Gonna cut off the old fuel line now. There we go. It was in wonderful shape, as you can see. And put the fuel line on now.
Well, now that I'm getting ready to change the oil, I found the first mistake I made, and it was getting a cheap Fram filter from Walmart. I remember I used to get Fram filters all the time because they were cheap. I don't really use Fram anymore. I've heard too many horror stories, but I mean, I don't think it hurt anything. This motor really doesn't have any miles on it anyway, so should be fine. I'm gonna go grab my oil filter wrench.
All right, let's talk filters real quick. There's 3 main filters that I run now. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with running a cheap filter as long as you change it out pretty often, like every 3,000 miles. But if you want a good quality oil filter, I like to run Fleet Guards, Baldwin's, and Wicks. The reason I use those is they are an industrial filter. Fleet Guard is a factory installed filter on a lot of commercial Cummins engines in like dump trucks and over-the-road trucks. Baldwin is basically a cat filter that's 25% cheaper because it's not yellow, it's red instead. And Wicks is just kind of the top of the line filter that you find at most automotive parts stores. They're all 3 very similar. They all use very good quality filter media. They also have a very heavy, thick metal canister that don't bend as super easy like this Fram. And you're just going to get better life out of it. Most of them are made in the US. Some of the Fleet Guards are made in Mexico. It really just depends on the day which you get it. But anyway, all 3 of those choices are great options and you really can't go wrong. The Fleet Guard, I get these because my truck supplier, they have them for like $6 a piece. Normally they're $12 to $14, so they must just not be marking them up hardly at all. So that's why I go with the LF653. As far as new oil going in goes, I'm using Shell Rotella T4 10W30. I'm using 1030 because this motor doesn't have very many miles on it. If you had a high mileage motor, maybe use 1540 or 2050, which is more than likely what you'll be doing with an old flat tappet cam motor like this. Anyway, I've gone down rabbit holes of oil samples, and the T4 is very similar in zinc parts per million and calcium parts per million, zinc being anti-wear and calcium being detergent, as more specialized oils such as Castrol GTX Classic and Valvoline VR1. Both are great options for these old engines, but this costs about half as much, so that's what I'm using. I don't recommend using diesel oil in direct injection gas motors, but an old carbureted one, you're not going to have any issues. Or in other words, it has all the vitamins and minerals that these old engines love. Well, I robbed this battery out of the square body service truck that I revived on this channel a little bit ago. Check it out if you want to see it. But anyway, hopefully it stops raining pretty soon. Be nice if I could dry out instead of continue to get wet. But this truck's been sitting for long enough. I need to get it going again. No more excuses. It's funny saving a truck from myself instead of going and fixing somebody else's junk. All right, we're back in the cab to hide from the rain. Let's see what it's gonna do.
pressure. There it goes. Just had to get the fuel up to the carburetor. Doesn't want to idle yet. I'm gonna go check under the hood. Well, it's idling now. It has a couple vacuum leaks though. These are all old and cracked out, so that explains that. Also, the air filter was kind of fogging it up, restricting the airflow.
All right, I got it running way better now. Apparently back in the day, I had no idea how to tune a carburetor, which makes sense. This thing was running way too rich at idle, so I adjusted it down and it's running much, much smoother now. Still sounds like it has a little bit of a vacuum leak. I'm sure it's just one of the ports that need to be plugged up, but I'd say now it's time to top off the transmission, maybe drive it around a little bit and clean it up. Now that it's cleaned up, it's much easier to see some of the stuff I did when I was younger. As you can see, the paint had lots of runs in it. I used to think it looked really good. And, you know, for a garage paint job and the cheapest paint CarQuest has to offer, it really isn't that bad. It's protected it from rust all these years. Real thin spot there, primer showing. Another thin spot. Cracking and runs. But the color was called Blockbuster Video Blue. Kind of dates how old the paint job is. This was done in a garage with almost no room to spray it. And Harbor Freight paint gun, cheap single stage paint. So, I mean, it protected it from the rust, and that's all that matters. Under the hood cleaned up real nice too. Off camera, I cleaned the carburetor quite a bit, as much as I could from up top anyway, and it definitely helped it run a lot better. I do think I'm gonna need to put a carburetor kit in there though, because it's still running a little bit rough. One thing that really surprised me when I moved the truck about 100 feet from over there to here just to wash it is the brakes still worked. I haven't touched anything on the brakes for about 15 years, so that was a pleasant surprise. Just for fun, I'm gonna test out the brake fluid. Testman sent me this brake fluid tester, and I believe it just tests the water content in the brake fluid, see if it's still good. Comes with this carrying case. It works on .3, 4, and 5.1. I'm gonna set it to 3 now. And this brake fluid is no longer good. It's at about 4%, which makes sense. This rear one's at about 3.9. You want to make sure and wash this off after using it. Anything over about 3% is when you need to replace your fluid. This comes in handy for somebody like me who owns a lot of vehicles and they sit for a while sometimes. So I go and quickly test all my brake fluid to see what needs to be fixed. Also comes in handy for somebody who got quoted a $100 bleed and flush from some mechanic and you don't know if they are quoting you it unnecessarily. So this is cheaper than that and can quickly test that so you can find out if they're trustworthy or not. But I'll leave a link in my description to Amazon if you want to pick one of these up, plus a promotion code to get a discount. All right, now that the brake fluid's taken care of, I'm going to replace this old nasty air filter. Then I guess it's time to drive it, see how it's going to do. Well, ain't that something? Looks like I got the wrong size. Well, this will work in my other truck, so that's okay. Guess this one goes back in for now, and we'll just drive it with this one. Well, here we are, 5 quarts of transmission fluid later, but we're driving now. Just shifted in the second, that's a good sign. Well, I had a lot of fun messing with this truck after seeing it sit for so many years. I'm definitely going to have to go back and fix a lot of the stuff that was already done to it, but I haven't seen anything major that I messed up working on it when I was a teenager. One of the first things I'm going to want to do to it is fix all the body work on the bed and get it in primer and paint as fast as possible to prevent any more rust from happening. It's just surface rust right now, but that can convert to holes in a hurry. So other than that, let me know what you'd like to see done, and I'm open to suggestions for future videos. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.